Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm going to introduce myself, and then Sam's going to introduce herself. My name is Shannon Shue. I'm a real estate agent here in the Los Angeles area. My office is in Marina Del Rey. I mostly focus on areas in and around Mar Vista, Leimert Park, and Jefferson Park when it comes to listings. But I have helped clients throughout the city. I invest in real estate myself. I own 9 units and I'm building a 10th one, which is an ADU. I love Vietnamese spring rolls, and my vision for the world is to create connection through vulnerability. And I think that's a really, like a really important thing, that we all stay connected, especially in a pandemic. So Samantha, oh, and for sake of compliance, my BRE number is 019758849. Okay, Sam.
Okay, thanks, Shannon. Hi guys, I'm Samantha Shue. I'm with Movement Mortgage. I've been working with Shannon for I think like 5 years now. And I'm excited to talk to you guys all about what's going on in the market. And, you know, a lot of people think one thing's happening, you hear it from one person, but when you actually see numbers and statistics here, I think you'll be really shocked at a lot of stuff here. Anyway, I own my own home. I just actually bought and sold for the first time doing it that way. We bought our first house about 16 years ago. And then I just moved to the suburbs because it's a lot less expensive here, and you can get a lot more for your money. So that was really awesome. I love my kids, of course, and my husband, and chocolate croissants, because who doesn't love those? And my vision for the world is positivity and gratitude. So moving on, Miss Shannon, do you want to advance us? Okay. So here's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking a little bit about what's going on this year, right? Wow, 2020 really threw us a curveball. What's going on in the latest housing news in Los Angeles specifically, but also as a nation. And then I'll talk at the end more so about the mortgage process. I know some of you have purchased homes before, some haven't, and some are completely new. So it's a little bit of like the basics of what would be the next steps if you're interested in moving forward. All right, so Shannon, go ahead.
All right, so we like to keep these pretty small. We try to keep it under a dozen people. So we're right there at with under a dozen. We take time to go around and really just ask each of you to introduce yourself, what you do for work, and what you'd like to learn today. We may not cover it today, but we'd probably cover it in a future conversation. And some of the stuff we do try to wrap in, or we fold in as we hear some of the things that we think that we can address. So I'm going to start with Floor. Floor, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hi. So my name is Flor Perez, and I work for Shannon, Shannon's assistant. And I would like to know what's your advice right now. If I've been seeing that a lot of people are saying to just keep your cash close because we don't know what's gonna happen, or if real estate is it's a safe place to keep your cash right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's go to Emilio.
Hey Shannon, can you hear me?
Yep.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Emilio Plasencia. Currently working on getting my real estate license. About a month away from getting my test date. So I'm really excited about that. My background is in sales and multi-unit management, primarily in private lending. And I'm here to learn more about what the market has to hold in the next 6 months to a year, because I do want to do some investments out of state. So looking to learn a little bit more today. Thanks.
Awesome. Let's go to Jan.
Hi guys, sorry I can't get my camera to work, but again, my name is Jan. I work in finance within regulatory compliance, and I am learning to or wanting to just be a sponge today. I'm at the start of my journey, as you know, and so I'm just looking to kind of try to pick up anything at the very beginning here. So thank you again for letting me join.
Awesome. Yeah. Canulio.
Yep. Hello, everybody. My name is Kinuyo Fujikawa. I work at Google as a program manager for the Google Cloud Platform. And what I want to learn today, I already own a condo here in Long Beach, and I'm considering buying another property with my partner. So just looking to keep my finger on the pulse of real estate and see what makes the most sense as far as either selling or holding this and renting it out.
Fantastic. Yay. Wendy.
Hi, my name is Wendy. I am an attorney who's maybe considering alternative careers, but today I'm really just interested in learning about what you feel like the market is, especially not just with COVID now, but also in Southern California, Los Angeles with the fires and climate change effects, just, you know, regional projections. And yeah, anything that you guys have to offer, definitely just a sponge here.
Awesome. Well, sounds good. And Trey.
Hi guys, my name is Trey Alligood. I am a fairly new agent. This is my first year in the business. I'm looking to really expand my horizons on just investment properties and you know, how I can take the information I learn here and relay it back to my clients.
Awesome. All right.
Great, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you for
Hey.
did I miss anybody just in case I didn't see you on the list? All right. Well, we can definitely knock out of the park. I'm just here to sponge something in, or because there were more graphs that I wanted to put in than I actually put into this presentation. So we might have a part 2 next month so we can go a little deeper. So just kind of doing an overview of what's going on in the housing market in this year so far. With the pandemic, when we look at how history has repeated itself, we've had 2 other pandemics just between 1917 and now. 1917 and 1957 were the 2 other ones, 1954, excuse me, 1917, 1954. And the recovery afterwards took, on average, 2 years. So even if a vaccine were to be found in the next few months, the recovery period to get the economy back at where it was before or better is going to take a minimum of 2 years. So I think that if we anticipate that, and I think a lot of people keep thinking like, well, once the vaccine's here or once we get back to normal, which should be, quote, soon, everything will be fine. And I think that we're not thinking about how long it will take for the economy, which is struggling in some areas and not in others, to get back on board. So there's 3 indicators for the economic health that I look at I think are really important. One is unemployment, the second is GDP, and the third is inflation. We're gonna focus a little bit more on unemployment and GDP today. I think I'm gonna save inflation for the next conversation next month so that you guys know exactly what we're gonna talk about, because inflation is actually the hidden third thing that I think many people are not talking about right now. But if we go with unemployment, we're really seeing like a K-graph. A K-graph would look like this. If you are not in an industry that is not affected by coronavirus directly, you are increasing your sales, your industry, your like investment money, and whatever you're looking at, you are on the up. If you are affected directly by coronavirus, the restaurant business, the entertainment business, the travel business, to name a few, then you are not doing well. There's a lot of unemployment. There's a lot of people that are struggling. There's a lot of people that are not finding a footing. And you can't have these 2 graphs going in this direction for too long before the top graph, the top people that are doing great and not affected by it, will then meet the bottom. And the reason is because you can't have 2 economies. The economy is as a whole. So you begin to bring the average down, and everyone at the top can no longer sustain themselves. They have to be brought down to where the economy is. So interestingly enough, GDP, new construction has slowed down incredibly, especially in Los Angeles, but across the nation too. Los Angeles is a little bit more expensive to develop in. So a lot of times developers, they build a lot of luxury. And when they build luxury nowadays, they're not selling it. They're actually just leasing it. Because they can do better leasing than they can selling. If they want to sell it off later, they can always condominiumize any building that they put out now. Just a good way to kind of think about things between 1999 and 2016, which did see the 2007-2008 crash. There were only 4 months with less than 4 months of inventory. But between 2017 and 2020, which is where we are right now, there's been 43 months where inventory is below 4 months, which means that we want to see a healthy market at 6 months. 6 months means that most buyers and most sellers can find something, they come to an agreement. We're not going wildly into multiple offers. At 4 months, it's a seller's market. Like buyers cower to what the sellers want so that they can get a property. When you have less than 4 months, it is a firestorm for sellers. Sellers get everything they want. Buyers jump through hoops, and a lot of buyers are turned off by that, which is why they don't end up buying, or they feel like this is crazy pricing. I'm not going to overpay. But then someone will pay for that, and then they begin to build the equity. I'm going to quickly go through unemployment, just like a little taste of it. When we compare unemployment now versus unemployment during the 2007 to 2012 recovery, we were at the peak of 14.7%, and just before coronavirus, we're at 3.5. 3.5 is like lovely. That is like really low unemployment, even though I felt the number was a little too low, like we had underemployment. We are now at 8.4%. Right? And we have come down from here because some people have gone back to work, but I don't see that this number is going to come back down to 3.5, not without the economy having a big shift. We see the same thing happen over a longer period of time in 2007 to 2012, where we had fairly low unemployment. Under 5% is considered pretty low. We peaked at 10%, and then we came back down about 4 years later at 7.5. So again, just food for thought. This is by industry, unemployment by industry. The leisure and hospitality, there's 21.3% unemployment in that industry alone, right? Whereas in financial activities, like what Samantha does and what I do, and I heard like Jan, you're in financial you're in the financials business, we have really low unemployment. Real estate agents on the whole, though, what I'm noticing, and because I did hear there were 2 agents on the call with us, if you have worked really hard during the pandemic, you are crazy busy, and I feel like I can't keep up with myself. And then I have agents in the office here. I'm on the board of directors here with 140 agents in the office, and if you are a mid-tier agent, you've slipped down. Unless you've actually really worked really hard to maintain your business. And if you were just a 1 to 4 per year closing agent in this office, and I see this across the board, struggling to get a closing this year. So now that becomes its own little like K-graph inside real estate agents. I won't go too far down that road because that's not about investing in real estate. But you can see where the unemployment is when you break it out by industry. Okay, so I'm going to touch on GDP because GDP, like Warren Buffett says, like that really is your biggest indicator of how the economy is doing. And we always want to see the GDP. Look, the GDP in this year, -6. Like we are not producing enough to make our own debts. Like our country is getting in more and more debt because we aren't trading enough, we aren't manufacturing enough, and we're not servicing enough of what we need to even stay above the line. And that worries me because I see stocks getting pretty inflated, and I don't know why are people trading stocks at such high numbers when companies are not producing enough, right? We need to like have more output as a country. So that does concern me. Okay, and don't worry, there's not too many more slides because some of you are like, oh, geez, Louise. The month supply of inventory. So this tells you how many months supply we have compared from 2019 to 2020. So we're in January through July. We are the purple, and last year was the orange. right? So every month we've been pretty much below last year except May. So that means like there isn't enough inventory to go around with the number of buyers that want to buy. And that's definitely true in Los Angeles. If you are under $1.2 million, there is not enough inventory. If you are above $3 million, you're going to make a deal with that seller and you're going to get everything you want and you're going to dictate all the terms as a buyer, or they're just not going to sell. So just keeping that in mind. Like our inventory is too low right now as a nation, and home sales. So 2 more slides after this one and then 1 more. We're actually down from last year. Overall, year-on-year change in home sales, we are down 4.7%, which accounts for why some agents are not selling as many homes this year as they did last year, and then other agents are just can't keep up. So that means like it compounds onto agents that have been in the business or have been working the business during the pandemic. It compounds also that buyers are choosing to exit the market and say, never mind, even though the interest rates are low, I'm going to sit tight for a minute. I'm approved. I'll just get approved again later. But there's also a lot of people in Los Angeles that are like, no, I want a home. I want these interest rates. But overall, we're down 4.7%. Last slide, and this just kind of gives you a little bit of a local window. In Los Angeles, our sales are down 24.5%. That's across the board. So that includes $12 million homes that aren't sitting, that are just sitting, that aren't selling. That includes $5 million homes that aren't selling. That includes $1 million home that really should be sold for $850, but they won't take $850. They believe they should get $1 million. So there's enough inventory sitting at different price points that it's not selling. However, inventory is still down. We are down. We don't have enough inventory to meet it. We are down 21.7% in Los Angeles. And prices have gone up from last year, 3.1% up from last year in prices. So when
is that just for LA? Yeah.
That's just LA. I've just focused on the LA line. Yeah, I haven't focused on the other cities because we're not in those cities. But I think that's really interesting to note that we're still up in the price because our inventory is so low, and sales are down from last year. But I actually think categorically it's down in certain categories and not in others. Under $1.2 million categorically is very high, but it's not making up for the rest of these very high priced homes that are dragging the sales numbers down. All right, Sam, I actually talked about this slide in there. So
you did a little bit, but I think what we didn't mention is for the agents who are on the call, you know, the people that I think have had the best year. I mean, overall, even compared to last year, that was a really great year too. But people who are in real estate are having an excellent year is because they've had this rapid adoption of technology. So like as soon as we could, Shannon and I had started doing all of these classes online. We used to do them all in person and have a whole lunch and move them and pay for it. And we would pack the room with 25 people, and we can't do that right now, right? So what's nice though is that I think in the future, when we are able to go back to do that, many of these agents and people like me and lending or whatever it is, we're going to be using technology so much more than we ever did. And I think that we also, because we were maybe starting, I know Keller Williams was starting on this new platform with technology before this all started. It was like this rapid adoption of the new one because you have to use all of these technological tools at the moment. So we still have a lack of inventory. So those people right now who think that they can buy a house, you know, if it's listed for 600, let's just lowball it. I'm sure if I make an offer for 550, I'm going to get it. Too bad. You're not, because there's a line of other buyers who are looking to buy that same house. So for those of you who might be new to the market looking to make an offer soon, and your max in your mind as far as how much you want to have your payment and all of that is, let's say 600,000, then you probably shouldn't be looking at houses at 600 to start. You should be looking at a house that's maybe something like 550, so it gives you room to be able to be the highest and best offer. There's still multiple offers on pretty much every property that I'm involved in where the buyer's saying, okay, Sam, What's the highest I can do? What are the best contingencies I can write in my offer so that I can be accepted by the seller? So that's why it's really a seller's market right now. And obviously mortgage rates are so low. Yesterday I was sitting here with my mom and I said, I can't believe I just quoted someone 2.875. And she was like, what? I mean, she was remembering back in the 80s when her rate was 17% when they bought the house I grew up in. So under 3% rates is literally free money. Shannon, next slide. All right. So what's happening now? Just again, inventory is still really low. Unemployment is rising. Our interest, what's the opportunity here, right? I mean, there's a lot of doom and gloom that Shannon was just describing, and it's going to be like that for a couple of years, but where is the opportunity? So super low interest rates. You might, if you find a property that's been sitting on the market a really long time, you could ask the seller for maybe helping you pay for closing costs. But it's not going to be for every property because not every property is in that same situation. And then also just because a lot of people have more time at home, even my 6-year-old here, you have more downtime to focus on those goals of wanting to buy a house and putting that plan into motion. I have a lot of people that said, you know what, they came back to me, you know, 2 years, 3 years ago, I pre-qualified them. They didn't find anything they wanted, but now they're going to go buy in Joshua Tree because it's way more affordable there than in LA, and they can work from home indefinitely. So that allows them the ability to go buy a $300,000 house versus trying to buy a $500,000 condo in Culver City. Hang on one sec, Shannon. I'm going to oh, this is my slide too. Addie, hold on one sec, guys. What's up?
Huh, weird. How come I can't go back to presentation mode?
Okay, guys. So next, Shannon, did you want to say anything more about that slide?
I do. For some reason, I have no control over presentation mode any longer, but okay. Yeah, no, I think what's happening in real estate right now, I have some buyers that are gun shy, and I have other buyers that are like, no, I want a house. I am committed to buying a house. Those buyers will find a home and they will get something. The buyers that are gun shy, many buyers have this in the back of their mind. They're just like, I don't want to lose money on this. But I tell everyone, if you're going to be in the home for at least 4 years, you're going to be fine. The reason is because you're going to ride the market down and you're going to ride it right back up again. And it will supersede where you bought it at. And you will kick yourself for not saying, oh man, in 2020, I should have bought it, right? I talked to a lot of people that said, oh, in 2016, I should have bought a house, right? And I think that if you stay committed, you will find that home, you will get the appreciation, because Los Angeles is a wealthy city and you will always get appreciation on your purchases.
Right. It's when you buy a house, it's not like buying stock, right? Where, oh my gosh, my stock price went so far down the next day, I'll just sell it, forget it. You don't have any emotional connection to it, and you don't have to stay in it for a while because you can easily just buy and sell it. With a house, this is for the long term, guys. So you're buying this house, you're buying this roof over your head, and it's not to just sell it tomorrow because the price has dropped on it, if that's what happens. It's to ride it out. So all of those people, Shannon, who bought a house in 2006, right, and 2007, how much appreciation have they seen?
Huh?
So people who bought their houses in 2006 compared to now, if they bought it in 2006 at the, maybe bottom, or maybe 2008 bottom of the market. No, before it fell out. It's 2006. Let's say they bought a place, 700,000, and in 2007 and 8, it dropped a little bit. And now they're probably close to what, 850, 950, $1 million.
Correct. So I'll give you an example. I have a property, investment property in Colorado. I bought it in Valentine's Day, 2008. Market crashes, like falls out from the sky that fall, 2008. So 6 months before the fallout, I buy a property in Colorado at a ski resort. It's a condo. I buy it for $161,000. I know you're like, wow, that's really cheap. In 2008, and the market completely crashes. The next year, I get the revaluation at 2009. It's worth $81,000, like half the value. 161 to 81. That's an $80,000 difference. And I just held on to it. I had a job. I made the shortfall, so I owed more on it than it was worth. It was worth $81,000. My loan amount was $140. So I just held on to it, and now, so it went back to 161, back to the value I bought it at within 5 years after I bought it. So 2008, and so by 2013, yeah, it had. Then I'm like, oh great, I'm even. Whew, that took a while, and then now it's more than that. So now it's worth about 220, 230, right? So again, if you're patient, it's not a stock. You don't buy and sell it like a stock. If you're patient, you can write it out if you have the financial ability to do that. So I'm a perfect example. I have rode the market up through and back again.
And my one house that I owned before this one, we bought at the end of 2003. And in LA, I never really saw the house price. We were on the west side. So the price, I don't think ever went down at all. And it just continued to rise and rise. So in the market Shannon's talking about in Colorado is a different market than LA, right? So I think, like Shannon said, because the area that we all live in here is so desirable, the increase in appreciation, I think, is more rapid than in Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does this all affect the mortgage industry? Well, if you want to really look at the gray hair I have on my head right now, it's bananas right now as far as the mortgage industry. I am at like 3 times the amount of loan applications that I was last year. So 90% of Americans, so I'm sure you all know somebody who is refinancing right now, 90% of Americans are eligible for a refinance. There's a lot more equity now than there was back in 2008 and 2009, because back then when I was in the business, I was doing lots of 100% financing. And many lenders were, and what happened was, like Shannon, you end up owing more than the house is worth because the house prices dropped so much. So there was really no equity in homes. Now we're in a different place. So I think that a lot of buyers who think the market's going to drop, it's going to fall out. That house that I'm looking at right now, that 600,000 is going to go for 450. Give it 18 months. It won't, guys. It's just not going to get there. There's too much equity in these homes. So these sellers are fine to sit for a really long time because they have a lot of equity in their homes. They can refinance right now and get a rate at 3% or lower. And that's making the mortgage industry applications up super high. So it makes all the mortgage industry super slow. We're doing our best. And the Fed yesterday actually said that they don't plan to raise interest rates until 2023. So we still have a good couple of years of low rates. So I know a lot of people get anxious. Oh my God, I haven't refinanced yet. Or, oh my gosh, I have to buy a house because mortgage rates will probably go up again in January. Probably not the case. Rates are going to stay low for a long time. Next. So for those of you who are new, I know I've worked with some of you already. When you want to purchase a home, the first step is to submit a loan application. So you'll submit all of your information to your loan officer. Then we review all of the income statements, asset statements, credit. Right now with COVID, there's some special overlays with employment. You know, we want to make sure if you're, let's say, in entertainment, that you've had some consistency of income this year. Now, everybody understands that maybe during the first 3 months of the lockdown that people didn't work, right? But some lenders are a little bit more cautious than others when it comes to that. And then once you've submitted all of your documentation and the loan officer has reviewed everything, then you get your pre-approval letter. And that letter will state that you are pre-approved for X amount. You might be able to even go higher than that. So you'll want to talk to your loan officer about it. And then that letter is good for 2 months. And right now, in order to see a house, to even step into a property, remember they're not doing open houses anymore. You guys aren't seeing those signs on the corners like you used to on the weekends because they're not safe. So all of the, if you want to look at buying a house right now, you have to do it by appointment and you have to show that you've been pre-approved or show your cash because you're going to pay all cash. So getting pre-approval letter is absolutely required to be able to step into somebody's house. And then for those of you who I haven't worked with in the past, because I usually do a little breakdown education of what you could qualify for. When you want to buy a house, you want to take what your income is. And then let's say your mortgage payment can't be more than 50% of your gross monthly income. That's for one program called conventional. It's a standard program. Most people I work with use a conventional loan program. It's not jumbo, meaning that the loan size is over the conforming limit. So really any loans that are under $765,000, the general standard loan, a client, let's say, is looking at a house and the payment is $2,500 a month. So let's say they have no other debt, just the house with the taxes and the insurance, and if there's an HOA, it's $2,500. So what you would do is you would just multiply that times 2. So, oops, I think I made an error there. 2,500 times 2 is $5,000 a month, or I totally botched that last one. $5,000 a month would be $60,000 a year. So that means that if you made $60,000 a year, you could buy a place with a payment of $2,500 a month. So pretty simple. So if you're looking at any of those online calculators, or if you've asked me to, come up with a payment, let's say right now you pay rent of $5,000 a month. If you wanted to keep that payment as a mortgage of $5,000, you would double that, $10,000, right? A month would be what you would have to be making. So for the year, 10,000 times 12 months would be, oh, I make 120,000 a year. I probably could afford a mortgage of 5,000. That wouldn't be a stretch. But if you have student loans, or even if they're on forbearance, or if you have car payments that are high, then that would subtract from your affordability. Okay, so I think we went so fast, Shannon. It's only 12:33.
I know, I went through the slides really quickly because I'm like, I don't want to bore people with graphs. So we probably could have spent 10 minutes on each graph, and I'm like, oh, I'll spend 2. So do you guys have any questions before we go around and do sort of a round robin? We just like to ask like what you learned. And before we do that though, just any questions, anything that you thought maybe Sam or I went too quickly on, or you'd like a little bit more info on?